New program, MAPS Muscle Mommy. This is for women who want to build, sculpt, shape their body, and speed up their metabolism. This entire episode, we talk about the new program, the discount we're offering. If you sign up now, before Sunday, you get it for $80 off, plus you get 2 free ebooks, Thinner, Leaner, Stronger, and the little black book of workout motivation. If you're interested, go to mapsmusclemommy.com and then use the code MM80 for the discount and the free ebooks. Now, this episode is brought to you by one of our sponsors, Seed. This is the world's best probiotic, hands down. Nobody comes close to Seed. They have the world's best scientists who designed this. It works. I've tried many probiotics. Nobody compares to Seed for my gut health. Anyway, go check them out. Go to seed.com/mindpump. Use the code 25mindpump and get 25% off your first month's order of Seed's Daily Symbiotic. Today's YouTube giveaway is a super bundle. To enter to win, leave a comment below this video in the first 24 hours that we drop it. Subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications. If you win, we'll let you know in the comment section. All right, here comes the show. Ladies, the fitness and diet industry has targeted you for decades, and to be frank, it's been manipulative in an effort to take your money. You've been told you're too heavy, not small enough, not skinny enough, and that in order to be happy, you need to punish yourself with endless hours of drudgery on the treadmill. That you need to restrict yourself with your diet to the point of fatigue and hormone imbalance, and to ignore all of the signals that this method isn't healthy in pursuit of what they say is ideal. Well, I'm here to tell you, they lie. They don't tell you that muscle is functional, attractive, and feels empowering. They don't tell you that eating more is actually the real way to get fit, healthy, and sculpted. They don't tell you that lifting weights to get strong is the way towards fitness success. I'm here to tell you that you are enough. Getting strong with weights, improving functional mobility, and feeding your body is how you balance hormones, get the shape you really want, and speed up your metabolism so that you can enjoy life. Our program, MAPS Muscle Mommy, was designed specifically to guide women how to lift, how to eat, and how to develop a sustainable, fun, and enjoyable relationship with your body, with workouts, and with diet. MAPS Muscle Mommy is not about getting skinny and weak. It's about getting strong, fit, sculpted, shapely, and healthy. With MAPS Muscle Mommy, you will have the guide, you will have the workouts, you will have the dietary recommendations to build a body and metabolism that will make feeding yourself the answer, not restricting yourself. It's not about moving till you're dead and eating so little that your body begins to shut down. MAPS Muscle Mommy is a full 12-week program with exercises, sets, and reps. It also includes dietary strategies geared towards building quality muscle, healthy fat loss, and it's fully oriented towards building a roaring fast metabolism that allows you the ability to eat more and be leaner. MAPS Muscle Mommy also includes lifestyle recommendations that can help you optimize your hormones, tackle water retention, and manage stress. There are also exercises included for pelvic floor strengthening and core muscle development. Look, if you're sick of being advertised to in ways that make you feel like crap, and if you're sick of workouts that make you feel tired and diets that are ultra restrictive, try MAPS Muscle Mommy. It's not just different, it's the right way to developing the body you want. MAPS Muscle Mommy also comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you can try the program out for a full month. If it doesn't change your mind, speed up your metabolism, build muscle, and make you look better, just return it for a full refund, no questions asked. To get started, just click on the link below. Whoa, what do you guys think of that?
Oh, the hype is real.
Yeah. You know, let me tell you why I'm excited about...
I love this term, Muscle Mommy.
I'm so excited about this because, I mean, the industry's lied to people for a long time, but I think they've lied to women the most. Okay, they've told women, don't eat, you know, chain yourself to a treadmill, being small and skinny and weak is the way to health and fitness. It's so
just
opposite.
Lift little weights a million times.
It's so opposite of the truth, and we've been preaching on the podcast for almost 10 years now how men and women get fit and healthy, how they actually get to the point where they look the way they want to, and it's the opposite of the mainstream message, and that's what this program's all about, is how to do that.
I mean, I'm just excited that we could actually launch a program that's titled this, because it shows how much the industry has shifted in just the last decade.
Totally.
Man, I remember the first time somebody said it on our show, and we all kind of like, you know, chuckle a little bit like, oh, that's cool. That's a cool term. I like that. And then the like next caller, same thing. And I was like, oh, wow, this is like actually picking up some momentum that it's becoming popular for women to say, I want to build muscle.
Yeah.
And that was just not something you ever heard. Even a female client coming to the gym and buying a membership and hiring a trainer still didn't talk that way. And they're obviously pro building muscle, whether they realized it or not. I mean, that's what they show up to go to the gym and get a trainer and lift weights. It's exactly what you're going to do, is to build some muscle, right? But I don't think that they had ever been marketed that way or told exactly that that's what was going on. It's always been wrapped in toning, or getting thin,
Getting skinnier,
leaner, tighter, smaller. It's never.
They're all, by the way, all those terms, tone, sculpt, shape. In order to get that look, you're building.
Yes,
you're building muscle, and we've known this for a long time. Now we've seen this shift in the space, right? Like when I started in 1997 working in commercial gyms, you didn't see women lifting weights ever. And if they did, it was 2 pounds and it was for 500 reps because they were told otherwise you get big and bulky.
Yeah.
And then I'd say right around maybe, I don't know, probably 2015, you started to see a shift where women were starting to kind of like notice like, strength training is actually going to make me look the way that I think I'll look doing hours of cardio. And eating, speeding up my metabolism requires I feed myself. Like you start to see that shift. And now today, I worked out this morning in a commercial gym, and the free weight area was 50-50 men and women. And they were deadlifting, squatting, they were pressing. And it's amazing because they're realizing that, to get the look that I want, it's easier and faster, and it's accomplishable if I strength train and I fuel my body, if I sculpt and build, and then I speed up my metabolism, and then the fat loss that I get is real fat loss, not just weight loss, and it's sustainable. And in order to do that, I have to strength train, and that's awesome because that's the message we've been preaching now for almost 10 years on the podcast.
Yeah, it's cool to see because you've seen all the infomercials and just the inundation and the culture of like having to do things with cardio and having to do these circuits, and that's just always been the recipe. And you still see that, but now that's finally the minority. It feels like that way. Like it's shifted to where, and again, because like good information is out there and it's more prevalent, but finding it now is the issue, right? Is being able to get people to realize that like you have to build the body, you have to build muscle. That's what gives you that actual body you're looking for, and the shapes. If you're talking about shapes, what kind of shape are we talking about?
Yeah,
I think the biggest key to what you said, Sal, or maybe the most valuable thing is the sustainability piece to it. If you've been listening to the show for a really long time, you've probably heard me tell the story of Katrina and I, but when we first started dating for the first 5 years, maybe more, I didn't tell her what to do workout wise or anything like that. It's just like I learned that from a long time ago that, if she's curious or interested in me helping her with diet or nutrition and exercise, she'll ask me, and it's better off that way than me trying to tell her like, hey, you probably should do this instead of that. Yeah. And her formula for staying in shape, all her entire life, including her, collegiate time of playing, basketball and getting in shape. And she's had personal trainers too. And, the formula for her was, I keep myself in relatively good shape all the time by, keeping myself in check diet wise. And then when I go off a little bit and eat pizza and maybe drink and indulge and put on about 10, 15 pounds, then I just go for some long runs and I run like crazy and I pick up the intensity in the gym and circuit train. And that brings me back down to that level. And then this is kind of how she's managed her entire life like that. And I just remember her finally asking me, and it wasn't until she had seen how radically I transformed my body in such a short period of time when I went through the whole process of starting Instagram and documenting the journey. And she was just like, okay, I'll, tell me what to do and I'll follow it to a T, because I cannot believe how quick you can change your body by just tweaking a few things. And I don't see you doing any sort of cardio at all. And so I did. And after she finally adopted that way of training, and yet if you talk to her today, she's just like, it's so crazy. My body, I'm in the best shape I've ever been in my life in her 40s. I eat way more calories than I've ever ate in my life.
Yep.
I train fewer days inside of the gym with lower intensity. So I'm not like sweating like crazy. Heart rate's not pounding. I never run. And yet I have the best physique I've ever had. And that's because she built a bunch of muscle on her body that sped up her metabolism. It already demands and requires more calories than fat does. And so now that she has more muscle on her body, it naturally increases that metabolism. So it requires that she eats more just to sustain that. So it gives her more, metabolic flexibility within the diet. And because she's building muscle, she can actually start to sculpt and shape her body. She had a lot of insecurities around being boxy and square, and she always felt like she had this big, broad shoulders, and she thought that I'm just stuck looking this way forever. And it's like, no, we can actually start to sculpt your physique to get more of that kind of hourglass look, and that's done through lifting weights and training properly. You don't get that from just exercise. Just exercising and burning calories does not sculpt the body.
No, muscle is very, very metabolically active. And then here's the thing that a lot of people trip out over when I explain this, but the process of building muscle. So in order to do that, you have to send the right signal, and that's a very specific signal. Strength training, appropriate and proper strength training will do that. Not all forms of exercise do this. In fact, most forms of exercise don't do this, or at least might do this to a small degree, and then that's it. Only strength training, the direct result of strength training, the signal is to build muscle. So you do that, then you got to feed your body appropriately. Okay, so you have to have adequate calories. Without the building blocks for new muscle, it's not going to happen. So you can send all the signaling you want, and if you're not feeding yourself enough, you're just not going to build muscle. And that means you also have to eat enough protein, and then get good sleep. Right? You do those three things. Then here's what your body does. Here's what trips people out. Your body organizes its hormones in a way to build muscle. Your hormones are signalers that tell your body what to do. So you may be wondering, what does the muscle building hormone profile look like? This is a youthful hormone profile. This is the hormone profile you probably had when you were in your teens or early 20s. So you got good
geared for growth.
That's right. Good testosterone levels. By the way, testosterone, very important for women, just like it is in men. It's just a lower amount. But muscle is testosterone sensitive. You want insulin sensitivity. You want good growth hormone. You want a balance of estrogen and progesterone. And where your body does, it says, oh, here we go. We're going to build muscle. Let's change our hormone profile to this muscle building hormone profile. So you get this youthful hormone profile. So one of the side effects, this studies show this, by the way, one of the incredible side effects of strength training, besides building muscle, getting leaner, feeling better, faster metabolism, which are all awesome, is your skin looks better.
Yep.
Your skin looks better. This is a fact. The studies show this. Why? Because of the increased skin is made up of proteins, just like muscle is. So increased protein intake, you strength train, hormone profile changes, your skin looks better. You know what else looks better? Your hair looks better. Your nails look better. Like all of the things we associate with youth start to happen when you train to build and sculpt the body versus train to just get smaller, which ends up having you lose muscle, results in a slower metabolism, and then you're just a smaller, flabbier version of the same person you were before. And then maintaining that is impossible because your metabolism is a lot slower. Muscle mommy is the opposite of that.
It's interesting because I know a lot of, my wife included, like go through these skin treatments and things, and you realize that they're just stressing the skin to get a response, and to bring out that youthful cell, and to kind of get the body to then signal it, so that way now we can kind of replace some of these old and aging skin. And it's like exercise does that, especially weight training does that. And this is like one of those factors that we can naturally promote all these things and get in a place with the hormones where they're balanced and optimal for bringing that youthful appearance. And so it, again, a lot of like these accessory options that as women like look into aging, and this is all like super anti-aging approach.
Yeah, it really is incredible. My favorite thing is, as a trainer, you guys did the same thing, especially when we first started, because getting your typical personal training client was not a female athlete, or definitely not a woman who's like, I want to build, I want to get a strong bench press or a strong deadlift or squat. It was like, I want to lose weight. That was the average. First of all, not only the average female client, that was the average client. Most of our clients, majority of them were women, and majority of them were women who wanted to lose weight. Now, luckily for me, and you guys are the same, I can be very convincing. I can persuade people very well. So I'd have to convince them that, look, this is the right approach. I know what you think. I know you think you're supposed to get on the Stairmaster forever. I know you think you're supposed to just cut your calories like crazy. That's not what we're going to do. We're going to actually try and build muscle, and here's why, and I'd explain it. And I'd get them to trust me, and then they would be blown away. My favorite part of this was when they would lose just a little bit of weight on the scale, but they'd lose inches off their body, and they would trip out. They'd say, Sal, I went down. This used to happen all the time. I would tell them, don't weigh yourself. This was part of my training. You're not allowed to weigh yourself because that will mess with your head. Now, real quick, the reason why that does that is because if you gain muscle and lose body fat, you may not lose any weight on the scale, or you may show a little bit of weight loss, right? Like you lose 5 pounds of fat, you gain 3 pounds of muscle. You only lost 2 pounds on the scale. But because muscle takes up less space per pound because it's dense, you're a lot smaller. So actually it looks like you lost a lot of weight. So these female clients of mine would come to me after 60 days of not weighing themselves, and we're getting stronger, we're feeling good, they're eating more. They're like, oh my God, my coworkers are like, you look like you lost weight. My husband thinks I lost 10 pounds. I went down 2 sizes in my clothes, and then can I weigh myself? And I say, yeah, let's get on the scale. And we weigh them 2 months later, and the scale went down 4 pounds. And they'd be like, what's going on? I went down 2 sizes. Is the scale wrong? And I'd say, no, actually, here's your lean body mass, because then I would do body fat tests. Here's your lean body mass. Here's your fat mass. You lost this much fat, but you gained this much muscle. That's why you're eating so much. And that's why you look so small. That's why everybody thinks you lost 10 pounds when really the scale showed less than that, is because you're smaller. But now you have this fast metabolism. Oh, and by the way, you're way stronger. Your libido's higher. That's all because we're balancing things out and doing it the right way. This approach for a long time was tough to convince people to start. But once they would start it, I mean, all of us had clients that were with us for 10 plus years. Majority of them were female. Why were they with us for so long? Because we showed them that.
Yeah, I think this is where the visuals that we had in the gym, I think we all had these, right? The 5 pounds of fat.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember that.
The 5 pounds of muscle.
Yeah.
This is probably where I use it the most. Because I'd say the average client, middle-aged mother trying to lose 15 to 30 pounds is probably what.
Typical.
Yeah, it was like the most common client that I've ever had. And honestly, 15 to 30 pounds, maybe to them feels like so much. They want to go off scale, but many of them, I could tell them, hey, listen, you're the weight on the scale means like literally nothing. Like you could have the exact same weight and it'll radically change your body. And it was those visuals that could bring that to life. Because it's like, when you look at it, the 5 pounds of fat, it was literally like this big blob, like this big.
So much surface area.
Yes. And then the 5 pounds of muscle was this dense little thing. It's like, so that's just 5. So
it's not just the size, by the way. It's not just the size. Because, okay, so muscle.
And the shape of it.
It's the shape is
like
a big one.
Muscle was like this smooth, like real.
And it's also where you put it on. Like if you build muscle, that means your butt is rounder, your hamstrings are rounder, your posture is better, your arms look more sculpted, your quads look more sculpted, okay? Because that's where muscle is. Muscle is not a thicker belly. That's not where muscle is. Muscle's not love handles. Muscle isn't, I'm sorry, fat, that's where body fat is.
Cottage cheese.
So if you exactly, when you talk about cellulite and stuff like that, it's body fat, not muscle. Muscle is tight and sculpted. So if you were to trade 10 pounds of muscle for 10 pounds of body fat right now, you would look radically different, just 10 for 10.
And this is part of, I brought up earlier, we started this, how Katrina had this insecurity about being boxy. And God, one of the hardest things was to tell her I wanted to build her back muscles. Like, I want to build your back up. And she was just like, no, that's like the last thing I want. I said, but you got to understand, if I lean you out and I build muscle on you, it's going to trim your waist down. So your waist is going to come in, and I'm going to broaden your shoulders, which I know that sounds scary because that's the opposite of what you want to do, but it's going to create an even more
hourglass.
More of an exaggeration of the hourglass. And I promise you won't feel that way. Why you feel that way right now is because it feel like a square is because you haven't built a lot of muscle up here and you're carrying extra body fat right here. Mm-hmm. Once I trim out the body fat and I build the shoulders and your back up, you're going to have this hourglass.
By the way,
and you will look smaller and leaner.
And speaking of which, when you look at like female bikini competitors or physique competitors, the body parts that they focus the heaviest on to create, because they get judged by their physiques on stage, and they're trying to present. Now it's an extreme sport, but what they're trying to present is a sculpted, strong looking, lean physique. Okay, the body parts they focus heavily on are delts, back, glutes, and hamstrings.
Yep.
To create exactly the illusion that you're talking about. Now, this strength training program, first off, it is a traditional strength training program. It is geared towards speeding up the metabolism, but it's also geared towards sculpting the body that most female clients told us they wanted.
Right.
So you're going to get more volume on body parts like glutes, hamstrings, delts, low back, mid back to give you that nice posture look. You're going to get more core work. So because strength training is target sculpted, right? So there's no such thing as target fat loss. Your body burns body fat from where it wants, but you can target sculpt. That's what's one of the beauties of strength training is I can look at somebody and say, develop more here, develop more here, develop more here.
Muscle groups.
That's right. And so what we did is we designed this program in a way so that it targets the areas that women tend to say, hey, this is what I want more of. And also that we found through the years of training people that makes women real happy with how they look. And then the big plus of this is at the end of a program like this, if you do it right, you should be leaner and eat more. I'm going to say that again. Yeah. You could, and many of you will be able to eat more at the end of a good program done properly and be leaner. Now think about that for a second. How many times that happens?
More flexibility.
That almost never happens to somebody who loses weight, right? Typically people lose weight and they end up having to eat less to maintain. Mm-hmm. With proper strength training, if you do it right, you can end up eating the same or more and actually be leaner. Now, which one is more sustainable, right? Which one do you want to live in the regular world in where you're surrounded by food, you have weekends, you want to hang out with people, you want to go out to dinner with your friends or your spouse, you want to have the faster metabolism. And building muscle does that. Really, there's no other way to really speed up the metabolism effectively like building muscle.
Yeah, I mean, what Justin just said, the metabolic flexibility, the flexibility that you get in the diet was, I mean, this was the big, obviously Katrina was extremely happy with the way her body, it turned out. But the part she loved was that, man, I felt for the first time, this is her telling me afterwards, I could go have a glass of wine or enjoy a night out and not feel like it just stuck to me. You've heard clients say that before. I have one bad thing, and I swear it sticks to me.
Next day.
And there's a part of that. I know that some of that is, in their own head, but there's a piece of that. There's some truth to that. And I always explain what happens to you when you get metabolically adapted to low calorie intake. When you take somebody who traditionally diets where they cut calories, and your average female ends up somewhere around 1,000 to 1,200 on the high end of cutting, that now their body's adapted to say that 1,200 calories. So when they decide to have a glass of wine and 2 slices of pizza, which ends up being 600 calories, it's half of their caloric intake in one sitting. And 2 slices of pizza.
50%.
Yep. Yeah, 50%. Versus if I sped her metabolism, got her to eating 2,800 calories, now it's a quarter. It's a huge difference, and that's one example of one meal and one day. And there's a compounding effect to that when you think about that over days, over weeks, over months, on why people feel that way when they eat one thing that sticks right to them. Well, that's because that ratio of how many calories that is to what you are now, what your metabolism is at, is so small that it gives you none of that flexibility. Versus we went on a plan where we decided to build muscle, speed the metabolism, get to a place where you can be eating 2,800 calories. Now, when you don't eat perfect and you have something like that, it doesn't feel like that. Your body actually utilizes those calories because it's burning a lot more calories.
Yeah, again, it's metabolically active. It's also it's where we store a lot of the carbohydrates that we consume is in our muscle. So when you eat carbohydrates or sugars, it floats around in your blood and then it's got to go somewhere. It goes to the liver and it goes to your muscles. Well, when you build some muscle, you have a bigger storage tank for these things. Otherwise, it sits around floating around in your blood. And if it's not burned off through activities or stored in muscle or liver, it gets turned into body fat. This is why insulin sensitivity is so important one of the reasons why it's so important for health and why you find that people who are obese, or especially people with low muscle mass, have poor insulin sensitivity. It's like they have a small storage tank for carbohydrates. And so the insulin is trying to drive it somewhere. It's not going anywhere. You develop insulin insensitivity. You start to develop issues.
This is where I used to really like the, bro science bodybuilding analogies here, because I felt like clients really understood this well. And it's generally true, right? So using the example of like if you had like a glass of water and you explain to clients like, then you take some water and you take a bigger thing of water and you pour it in there and you go like, look, that's all your muscles' ability to store the carbohydrates you're talking about. And then once we get to a point where you pour and that thing overfills, all that spillage ends up getting stored as body fat. And then by me coming over and building, say, 5 more pounds of muscle on you is like me giving you another glass. Now all that would normally spill over now goes over into that.
That's a great example.
It is. It's just a great
visual.
It's a good visual for people to understand like how powerful it is for us to go out and build 5 pounds of muscle. Is that what you now what normally would have been over spillage and stored as body fat now goes into filling up all those new muscles that new muscle that you have built. And so this is where that metabolic flexibility comes in, and you get so much more room to be able to enjoy life a little bit and still stay really fit.
Not to mention that longevity with like protection over joints and being able to live more pain-free. And I mean, that's something that people don't consider that when they're young and, kind of going through this, but you're setting yourself up long-term to have way less problems down the road when you build more muscle. And two, osteoporosis and things like that are big considerations. If, we're just always kind of cutting down, trying to be lean and trying to be skinny, like think about your bone health at that point.
Osteopenia and osteoporosis are very high in women who chronically diet and chronically do cardio, because your body loses muscle, it loses bone. You have more muscle, you have more bone. You have less muscle, you have less bone. So that becomes a really big issue. One of the beauties of proper strength training too is that because the value of strength training is not in the calorie burn of the activity itself. Now, there's always value in being active. Okay, so I don't want to say there's no value there, but the big value of the strength training is in what it tells your body to do. So what's awesome about this is you don't need to do a lot of it to reap the benefits. 3 really good strength training sessions a week give you phenomenal results. Whereas when you're trying to burn the calories off manually, you're doing a lot of exercise. You're doing exercise every single day to try and burn things off versus the 3 days a week of strength training where now your body's burning it off on its own. And it's trying to, again, shape and sculpt itself. I remember I remember always being blown away, and then I got used to this, but I was always blown away initially by this comment that I would get from my female clients. When I first became a trainer, I kept hearing this. I'd say, well, how are you feeling? How do you feel? And they would say, I feel empowered. And I didn't get it at first. I thought, oh, empowered because you're changing your body, because you can see that it's working. And then I started asking more questions, and it turned out the women felt empowered because they were strong. They just felt stronger. And I remember I had one client in particular that explained it to me. She said, I feel so empowered, Sal. And I said, she was this petite woman. I said, what do you mean by that? She says, well, I mean, I was traveling. She used to travel overseas. She worked for a tent company, and she would travel overseas. And she goes, for the first time in I don't know how long, I put my baggage in the overhead compartment by myself. She's like, I always have to ask some guy on the plane to help me do it. And then it dawned on me.
Yeah, you're not as reliant.
You feel empowered because you can do more stuff by yourself. You feel strong. That's what muscle does. It makes you feel strong. The opposite happens when you dwindle yourself away trying to accomplish an impossible look by just burning everything off and eating very little. You feel terrible. Energy's low. Hormones, by the way, when you do it that way, organize themselves to lose muscle. What is a hormone profile that causes you to lose muscle? What does that look like? Looks like an aging hormone profile. High cortisol, low growth hormone, imbalances all over the place. Libido is low. The opposite of what happens when you tell your body to build muscle and you fuel it appropriately. That's what this program is all about. And it's 3 strength training sessions a week. And on the off days, this is what's awesome. On the off days, we include these small trigger sessions, which again, we took trigger sessions, which we had in MAPS Metabolic, and we created them and geared them towards what women typically look for. So the trigger sessions, you can pick from pelvic floor exercises, which people laugh. Okay, that's a big deal. I know this. Being training so many women, there is almost no education on strengthening the pelvic floor, and that means you can't engage your glutes, you can't engage your hips, and after you have children,
brace your core.
This causes lots of issues, and there's no physical therapy, very little on strengthening this. This makes a big difference. So we included that. We included glute trigger sessions and core trigger sessions, mainly because those are the areas that women are really interested in.
We also did things around diet too. So there's a lot like this program. You've got diet recommendations. You have stuff that we talked to about hormones. We got the trigger sessions geared towards what most women want. Because I know there's probably a bunch of people that are like, okay, how is a weight training program specific to a sex? And it's because of all these other things that we've added to it. Where
a lot more of the lifestyle additions.
That's a part of this that I think that we wanted to take into consideration when we were writing this. Is like, I don't want to just give exercises and be patronizing to people and think that like, oh, this is what makes it a female workout. It's like there's a lot of other.
No, it's not just a different color.
No, it's not pink weights.
Yeah. No. It's good strength training, but because strength training is targeted to specific areas of the body and you can sculpt, we took the volume, because there's a total amount of volume that the average person can tolerate, or not just tolerate, that's ideal, I would say. And what you do with that total volume depends on what you're looking to develop more. So what we did is we geared some of that volume, or more of that volume, towards body parts and areas that women tend to say that they really want to focus on. So that's the strength training portion. Then the trigger sessions, again, we focused on areas that women tend to say, hey, I need help in this area, or things that we saw training our female clients. Then we talk about products that women use that can disrupt hormones. This is a big one, by the way. Men do not use nearly the same amount, not even close to the same amount of chemical-based products that can disrupt our hormones, mainly because we don't use cosmetics, we don't use as many lotions and perfumes and products. And a lot of those products have chemicals known as xenoestrogens that can disrupt your hormones. And so we put in there in the program signs that you may be getting some hormone disruptions, and products and things you can maybe avoid or look for alternatives to that can make a difference. The diet recommendations, like you said, Adam, are geared around speeding up the metabolism, fueling muscle, assisting in fat loss. And the diet recommendations are the ones that we found to have the biggest bang for their buck. So it's like, we're not going to tell you eat this many calories. We're going to say, hey, try and drink this much water or eat this much protein, because we know that leads to this downstream effects and benefits.
We also got into supplement recommendations.
Supplements, yeah. So this is a big one. We typically don't do categories of supplements and recommend, but we did in this program. We have overall health supplements that we find to be of value, more value to women, supplements for performance. We put in specific adaptogens that seem to have, adaptogens are compounds that help the body deal with stress, and we picked the ones that seem to have the most benefit for women. We also put in some supplements that seem to help with female-based anxiety, and then we put in some recommended tests for women to test their things like hormone levels, heavy metals, and toxins, because or nutrient levels, for example. Because when you identify those, then you can be very specific with your protocol. Versus having a general approach and not quite knowing, what you want to target.
I can't stress this one enough. So it's I've even shared this with you guys. So this weekend, right, we were all together for Mother's Day, and my niece, who is 33, she's 33 years old, and I've trained her before. You guys have heard me talk about her in the past. She was, I'd say, one of the last people that I trained and helped both diet and training, and also was like a great client. Right, she was the type of client where once I taught her, she gets it, right? Applies it right away. Yeah, this has been almost 10 years right now that she's I taught her training and nutrition, and she reached out to me 2 weeks ago, and she's like, "Hey, can we meet? I'd like to meet and go over my diet training." I said, "What's going on?" I says, you don't ever have any problems with, what do you need my help for right now? You know everything. You know what I'm going to say to you. We've done this enough times, right? She goes, "I know." She goes, "Adam, I'm doing everything you've always taught me, and something is off. I'm not losing any weight. I feel like I'm inflamed or bloated all the time. And I don't understand what's going on." I said, "You know what?" I said, I know you, and I know you know what to do. And if you're telling me that, I bet you got something else going on. Go get full panels done. She got it back day before yesterday before we met. And she's like, she said the doctor could not believe how low her estrogen and testosterone were. Yeah. She'd already been through menopause at 32 or 33 years old.
Wow.
So, and you would not, she's looks very healthy. I mean, she's wanting to lose 10 pounds, right? She was just,
but she could feel it.
But she could feel it, yeah. and was off. And again, I told you, and so one of the things they don't know yet, they're trying to get to the bottom of what's it coming from, because naturally she wants to try and address it first before she takes any sort of, anything synthetic to try and mess with it. But she's been on birth control for 14 years consistently, never been off. And so that was one of the things that they were saying that could possibly be be it. But I can't tell you how many times I've had, and more often than not, female clients, it's more common than my male clients, where we have something off hormonally, and this is why they're not seeing the results. And that can be so frustrating to be putting in the work nutritionally, putting in the work exercise-wise, and not realizing that there's underlying hormonal issues going on. And not only is it frustrating, but it also could lead you down the wrong path and make things worse if you don't address that.
You know what sucks about that is that they often get dismissed. They go to the doctor, something's not right. Your blood pressure's fine. You gained a little bit, not a big deal, just eat less. No, you don't understand. I don't feel good. Yeah. Something's not right. And then eventually they push hard enough. You know what they do? Here's an antidepressant. Here's an anti-anxiety medication. Not realizing that their vitamin D is low.
Oh, if she didn't do full panels, we wouldn't have known because all the other markers, she seemed fine and healthy. Yep. Like the doctor did not see anything else that would cause them to go, hey, we should do full panels. I told her to go get full panels because I know her well, and the fact that she knows what to do training and eating wise and telling me that this is how I'm feeling and I'm doing everything you tell me to and I'm not responding. It's like
I have two situations like that. I had a client who also did everything right, seemingly whatever, and couldn't figure out what was going on. Doctor's like, you're fine. She's like, I have all these these kind of neural, symptoms and I don't feel right. Tried to put her on an anti-anxiety medication. She got tested. Her B vitamins were through the roof. They were so high. Now B vitamins, what's interesting about this is they're water soluble, but she was taking so much in her supplements that she was essentially poisoning herself and creating some of these issues. She would have never known. She would have gone on anti-anxiety medication, numb the signal.
Just to mask it.
Yes. I had another client who was getting all this crazy fatigue, and she did a heavy metals test, and I forgot which one it was, but it was high. When she did the heavy metal detox, which you can do, she felt significantly better. But again, kind of being dismissed. So the tests that we have recommended in here are great for getting a baseline and figuring out where you're at. In fact, I recommend that, like, do these tests, start the program, and then crush and see what happens. So this is a full workout program with all of those, all the things we talked about in there: diet recommendations, supplement recommendations, lifestyle recommendations. It's because it's a brand new program, you're going to get a discount. It's going to be $80 off the normal price. And then what we did is we contacted our good friend, Mike Matthews, who's an excellent person in the fitness space. And he's going to give 2 of his books for free for our listeners who get this program when we launch it. So you can get Thinner, Leaner, and Stronger, a very popular book, and then the little black book of workout motivation. So if you sign up during the launch period, which this sale ends Sunday, $80 off plus the 2 free ebooks. And you can find it at mapsmusclemommy.com, and then use the code for the discount and the books. It's MM80. So that hooks you up. Again, it's mapsmusclemommy.com, MM80 for the discount. All right, that's the show.